This is Matt from NoCodeTrainer.com. I hope you like this video and you can take what you learned from it and incorporate it into your own Bubble application. If you do, please make sure to click like and leave a comment in the comment section with how you'll use it inside of your application. If you'd like to be kept up to date with more tips and tricks you can use in your Bubble app, please subscribe to our channel and be sure to check out NoCodeTrainer.com for more exclusive content. In this video, we're going to go over how we can do a click to email function. When you're doing this, if you click onto it, it will open up your email client. And if you have things set up correctly, not only will the email address be ready for you, but also the subject line and the body content as well. So when we are inside of our Bubble editor, you're going to be able to do this by utilizing an HTML element or a link element. So in our HTML, what we have here at the bottom, the ahref, that's the important part that's going to get you so that you can actually have the user click and have an email in their email client get generated for preparing to send off. Above this in the style section, these are all related to the way that it's actually looking. So we have the color here, and you can use an actual hex code if you choose to, or a actual word like we are using with orange. Text decoration is about whether or not there would be an underline or a strike through or something, and we're putting that to none. You can control your font size and make the changes also to your font family so that maybe it's going to match the font family you're using in your application. Here what we have is the before portion. And so you can see that before we have this content here, which is the Unicode text form of the email envelope. And then the margin right is that spacing between the envelope and the text of email me. Then we have our href hover, which means when the user is hovering over this element, the color will change to black. And then the active is changing the color red. Active is for when they press it. So you can set this up to be very basic with just the single email address. You can also have this be dynamic as well. If you're going to be putting it onto a user's page as a profile page or something, you can reference that page user's email address to make it dynamic. We can also go and expand on this. If you're looking down at the bottom here, you can see that we have also in this the subject. And what we're doing after the email, we're using the question mark to represent a kind of separation between the email address and the parameter of subject. So after you write in the word subject to represent that parameter, you need to use an equal sign. And then after the equal sign, you just type in whatever that might be as the sort of value of that parameter for subject. So that would be placed into the subject line of the email. And again, this can be dynamic. After the subject line's content, you would use an ampersand to separate that from the next parameter, which is body. And then after the word body, you'll need your equal sign. And then whatever the content is that you would want to be putting into the body of that email. And again, that can be dynamic. If you wanted to set things up where your user is going to be, as soon as they open up by clicking onto this, the email client opens and they would be inside of the body content, but without any body content added. So essentially their cursor is just in there and ready for them to start typing. You could just leave that blank. So that's how you can get it set up in the HTML element to be able to have dynamic content in the subject and the body as well. So when we're looking at doing this in a link element, the link element is pretty straightforward. We need to use the mail to, as you can see here, and our email address. And then the setup is exactly the same if you're wanting to give it the content with the subject and the body as well. So you're going to need to use that question mark to separate out that parameter subject, and then the equal sign for the content portion, and then the ampersand to separate out the body, and be able to do that. You can use dynamic data in here as well, so you can very easily set these up to be dynamic. Just as an example here to give you an idea of changing it into something dynamic, what you would want to do is just come on in and grab whatever portion it is you're changing, and then insert dynamic, and you say current users, and then email, and then with your subject and whatnot. I use this in my applications, focusing on with meetings that we're having, and so my subject line could reference, your meeting scheduled for a particular date. So what I would end up doing after the meeting portion here, I would have dynamic content related to the date of the meeting that this user is scheduled to have that meeting on. So various things that you could be doing within there to be able to get your content to be more dynamic. And just make sure that when you are doing a dynamic email that you keep the mail to portion in front of it. That's a necessary aspect of things. So hopefully this helps you out with getting a click to email functionality inside of your own Bubble application. Thanks for watching the video. Hope that you found this helpful. If you'd like to be able to get editor access, please make sure that you check out the site, NoCodeTrainer.com. The link is in the description to the video, where you'll be able to gain access into the editor and be able to check out how things were set up within the application itself.